The smoke billowing from under the hood of Sarah Miller's luxury sedan seemed to mock her as she stood helplessly on the side of the highway, designer heels sinking into the gravel. What no one could have predicted that morning was how this breakdown would change not just her life, but the life of a struggling single father who was about to miss the most important job interview of his career. If you're touched by stories of kindness being rewarded in the most unexpected ways, hit that like button and subscribe to see more real-life miracles that remind us how a single act of compassion can change everything. Michael Torres checked his watch for the 5th time in as many minutes. The second hand ticked mercilessly toward his 2 p.m. interview, the interview that could finally pull him and his 8-year-old daughter Emma out of their financial struggles. After 3 years of raising Emma alone following his wife's death, this senior accounting position at Meridian Financial would mean stability, better healthcare, and maybe even enough saved for Emma's college fund someday. He adjusted his only tie in the rearview mirror of his 15-year-old Honda. The car had seen better days, but it was reliable, until today, when the universe seemed determined to test his character. Traffic had already delayed him by 20 minutes. Now, as he rounded the bend on Highway 16, he saw a sleek black Audi pulled over, hazard lights blinking frantically, and a woman in a business suit pacing beside it, phone pressed to her ear. Michael's conscience tugged at him. He was already running late. This interview was everything. But something about the woman's desperate expression reminded him of himself 3 years ago, stranded with a toddler when his own car had broken down after his wife's funeral. "Damn it," he muttered, pulling over. Sarah Miller was having the worst day of her professional life. As the newly appointed CEO of Meridian Financial, she was supposed to be conducting final interviews for the senior accounting position in exactly 40 minutes. Her assistant had called in sick, her morning meeting had run long, and now her car had betrayed her on the one day she couldn't afford delays. "I understand you're busy," she said into her phone, trying to keep her voice level as she spoke to her roadside assistance provider. "But I need someone here now, not in 2 hours." The sound of tires on gravel made her turn. A weathered Honda pulled up behind her Audi, and a man in a slightly wrinkled suit stepped out. He looked as stressed as she felt. "Car trouble," he called, approaching cautiously. Sarah nodded, ending her futile call. "It just started smoking. I don't know the first thing about engines." Michael glanced at his watch again. 1:25 p.m. If he helped her now, there was no way he'd make his interview. But the woman looked genuinely distressed, and he couldn't just drive away. "I'm Michael," he said, extending his hand. "I'm not a mechanic, but I know a few things. Mind if I take a look?" "Sarah," she replied, relief washing over her face. "I'd be incredibly grateful." Michael popped the hood, immediately spotting the issue, a burst coolant hose. It was a simple fix, but not without the right parts. He explained the situation to Sarah, who looked increasingly anxious. "I have an important meeting I can't miss," she said, checking her watch. "Is there any temporary solution?" Michael thought for a moment. "I have some duct tape in my car. It might hold long enough to get you to a garage, but you'll need to drive slowly and keep the air conditioning off." As he worked on the makeshift repair, Sarah noticed his interview portfolio peeking out from his car seat. "Are you heading to an interview?" she asked. Michael nodded without looking up. "At Meridian Financial. Senior accounting position." Sarah froze. "That's at 2 p.m. today?" "Yeah," Michael said, his voice tight with resignation. "But I'm not going to make it now." Sarah opened her mouth to tell him who she was but stopped herself. She wanted to see what this man would do, unprompted by the knowledge that she held his potential career in her hands. "You should go," she said instead. "This is just a car. Your future is more important." Michael smiled sadly as he finished taping the hose. "My daughter Emma always says that helping others is never a waste of time. Her mom taught her that before she passed away." He closed the hood. "Besides, I can always find another interview. You might not find another person willing to stop if I leave you here." Sarah felt something shift inside her. In her 15 years in corporate leadership, she'd interviewed hundreds of candidates who claimed to value integrity and compassion. Yet here was a man demonstrating those qualities when he thought no one who mattered was watching. "Try starting it now," Michael said, wiping his hands on a rag. The engine turned over smoothly, the smoke already dissipating. Sarah's relief was genuine, but now mixed with curiosity about this selfless stranger. "Thank you so much," she said. "Can I at least pay you for your time?" Michael shook his head. "Just pay it forward someday." As he turned to leave, Sarah made a split-second decision. "Wait. I'm heading toward the city. Can I give you a ride somewhere?" Michael hesitated, then looked at his old Honda. "Actually, if you're going near downtown, that would help a lot. I can come back for my car later." The irony wasn't lost on Sarah as Michael climbed into her passenger seat, unaware he was sitting next to the very person who would have been interviewing him. She decided to maintain her anonymity a little longer. "So, tell me about this job you're missing," she prompted as they merged back onto the highway. Michael spoke candidly about his struggles as a single parent, his background in accounting, and his hopes for providing a better life for Emma. There was no embellishment, no rehearsed answers, just honest conversation from a man who had nothing to gain by impressing her. "Emma's with my sister today," he explained. "She made me a good luck card with glitter glue this morning. Got it all over my first tie choice." He laughed, a warm sound that filled the car. "She's the reason I keep pushing forward." Sarah found herself sharing too, about the pressures of her work, though carefully omitting her position, her own childhood with a single mother, and her belief that character revealed itself in moments of inconvenience. As they approached downtown, Sarah made another impulsive decision. Instead of dropping Michael off, she pulled into the Meridian Financial parking garage. "You're going to Meridian too?" Michael asked, confusion evident in his voice. "I am," Sarah said, finally ready to reveal the truth. "Michael, I'm Sarah Miller. I'm the CEO of Meridian Financial, and I was supposed to be conducting your interview today." The color drained from Michael's face. But I thought, I didn't say anything because I wanted to see who you really were," Sarah explained gently. "And I've learned more about your character in the last 30 minutes than I could have in any formal interview." Michael sat stunned as the implications washed over him. "So I've been interviewing this whole time?" Sarah smiled. "In a way. And you've demonstrated something I value more than technical skills or experience, genuine integrity and compassion." She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a business card, writing something on the back before handing it to him. "The position is yours if you want it. The salary is actually higher than advertised, and we offer flexible hours for parents. Can you start Monday?" Michael stared at the card, then at Sarah, his eyes welling with tears. He quickly blinked away. Yes. Yes, I can start Monday." "Good," Sarah said, feeling a warmth she hadn't experienced in her professional life for years. "And one more thing, we have an excellent company daycare program for after school. Emma would be welcome there." As they walked into the Meridian building together, Michael still slightly dazed by the turn of events, Sarah realized she had found something she hadn't even known she was looking for, a reminder of why she had entered business in the first place, to make a positive difference in people's lives. 3 months later, Michael sat at his desk, reviewing quarterly projections. His office door was open, allowing him to see Emma doing homework in the company daycare room across the hall. His new job had transformed their lives. They had moved to a safer neighborhood, Emma was thriving in her new school, and for the first time since becoming a single parent, Michael felt financially secure. Sarah stopped by his office, as she often did. Their professional relationship had evolved into a friendship built on mutual respect. "How are those numbers looking?" she asked. "We're ahead of projections," Michael replied with a smile. "And I've identified some potential tax savings for the next fiscal year." Sarah nodded approvingly. "I knew you were a good investment." She paused, watching Emma through the glass. She looks happy. She is, Michael confirmed. We both are. I still can't believe how everything worked out. I've been thinking about that day on the highway, Sarah said thoughtfully. You know, in business school they teach us all about strategic decision-making and risk assessment. But they never teach you how to recognize genuine goodness when you see it. Michael looked up from his computer. And I never expected that missing an interview would lead to getting the job. It wasn't missing the interview that got you the job, Sarah corrected him. It was being the kind of person who would miss an interview to help someone in need. That evening, as Michael tucked Emma into bed, she asked him to tell her favorite story again, the one about how he got his job by being late for his interview. Daddy, she said sleepily when he finished, Mom was right, wasn't she? Being kind is always the right choice. Michael kissed her forehead, his heart full. Yes, sweetheart. Your mom was absolutely right. In his darkest moments after losing his wife, Michael had questioned whether goodness was enough to survive in a world that often seemed to reward selfishness and ambition. Now he had his answer. Sometimes the universe tests our character precisely when we think we can least afford to be tested. And sometimes, when we choose kindness despite the cost, the universe responds in kind. As for Sarah, the experience changed her approach to leadership. She implemented a new hiring practice at Meridian that included evaluating candidates' responses to simulated ethical dilemmas. She started a company volunteer program and established a fund for single parents facing financial hardships. But perhaps most importantly, whenever she found herself stuck in the rigid thinking that often accompanies corporate success, she remembered the man who stopped to help a stranger despite having every reason not to, and she chose compassion over convenience. Years later, when asked about the most important business decision she ever made, Sarah would always tell the story of the broken-down car and the missed interview. Technical skills can be taught, she would say. But character is revealed in the moments when no one is watching, or when you think no one who matters is watching. The story of Michael and Sarah spread throughout Meridian Financial and beyond, a reminder that in a world increasingly driven by technology and efficiency, the most valuable currency remains human kindness. And sometimes, the detours that seem to lead us away from our destinations are actually the paths to where we were meant to be all along. If this story touched your heart, remember that these moments of choice happen around us every day. The next time you're faced with the decision between convenience and kindness, think of Michael and his daughter Emma. Sometimes the greatest opportunities come disguised as inconveniences, and the most important interviews aren't the ones on our calendars, but the ones life gives us when we least expect them. Like, subscribe, and share this video to spread this message of hope and kindness. Because in a world where we can be anything, being kind might just be the most powerful choice we can make.